No Labels issued a statement on the 9th of November. Said we will make a decision by early 2024 about whether we will nominate a unity presidential ticket and who will be on it. Now that we're approaching April, what are you waiting for?
Well, we did say after Super Tuesday, because you never know until after Super Tuesday who's going to get the nomination. I mean, this whole movement in No Labels to run a third choice bipartisan unity ticket started because our members saw another Trump-Biden race coming and thought the country could do better. And every poll that's taken shows that most of the people in our country think that we can do better than those two choices, and they want something other than Trump and Biden. But, the primaries were going on. Anything can happen. But they're over. They're basically over now. And it is Trump and Biden, which means more slash and burn, nastiness, division, partisanship. And whichever one of them gets elected, unfortunately, not much is going to change in Washington. So we think this is the moment for a bipartisan unity ticket. We've qualified for the third line in 18 states. We're doing well. We're looking to qualify for 50 by Election Day. And now we just got to find a strong bipartisan ticket to recommend to our no-label delegates in the next couple of weeks. That's not easy. It's daunting for somebody to go out there in the midst of this mud fight between Trump and Biden. But we think we have a good chance for a really strong ticket.
Well, I wonder how we're defining strong here, because as you say, it maybe has been daunting for No Labels, as everyone from Joe Manchin, Larry Hogan, Mitt Romney, Kirsten Sinema, Sununu, others, a laundry list, frankly, of individuals who have said no to a unity ticket bid. So who is left? Senator, is it Chris Christie?
Well, it'll be a surprise when we announce it, but I can tell you, and it's been tough because we've asked a lot of really strong people, and they each had their own reason for not doing it, and I understand completely. Incidentally, it wasn't No Labels; it was that led them to turn us down because they all thought about it. It was really the idea of, is this the year I want to get in the midst of that rock fight or mud fight, as I said a moment ago? And you got to have a real calling and a feeling that the country can do better, and you can do better for the country. So, but I think we're still in pursuit of a couple of really good candidates, and we got to make a decision the next 2 or 3 weeks. And when we do, hopefully we'll excite people, and they'll say, you know what, this is their choice I've wanted. It's time for America to have a bipartisan unity administration in the White House, and that'll change everything that happens in Washington. We'll begin to solve our problems, and we'll stop fighting each other all the time, which is what the Republicans and Democrats are doing now.
Well, Senator, a number of the folks that Kailey mentioned who have declined your invitation have cited the idea of being a spoiler as a turnoff here. And I know that you have addressed this as well. Joe Manchin, who has recently said no, and I don't know if you're still talking to Joe Manchin about this. He said No Labels would be a spoiler if you cannot get on the ballot in 50 states. Is he right about that?
Well, first off, we've been really clear about this, and we're following the data, which in this case means the polling. And our data shows that we're not going to be spoilers. What does that mean? It means we throw the election to one or another candidate. Honestly, our members don't want to reelect Donald Trump. They don't like Joe Biden either, but they really don't want to elect Donald Trump. And all our polling shows that we will not do that. I can tell you that I'm really confident.
Sir, if I could just ask you, when you're polling, what questions you are asking, because aren't you polling for just a blank slate, just any option C, versus polling for an actual ticket? Or when you're looking at this data, are you putting real names on there? Yeah. And if so, who is it that will perform the strongest against a president and a former president? Who is at that caliber?
Right. So good question, because for a long time, we were just testing the idea. We do Trump, Biden, and a bipartisan unity ticket or an independent moderate ticket. And we came up with some really good numbers for that, but we know there are no names there. Then we started to put in names as we went ahead, and we were talking to specific people, and they still do pretty well. I mean, here's a fact that most people, I think, don't understand. Obviously, they understand the electoral votes is what elects a president and a vice president. But here's the point. In every state but Maine and Nebraska, the electoral votes go to the ticket that gets the most votes, not a majority. So you got Trump, Biden. Hopefully he'll have a bipartisan unity, no labels ticket. You got RFK Jr., Cornel West, Joe Stein. You could get the most votes with 33, 34, 35% of a state's votes. And we think we're in range for that in enough states to potentially win, but certainly to throw this to the House and have an influence on who ends up as our next president. So look, there's such division in our country that we think it's worth trying to bring us back together with this kind of bipartisan unity ticket.
Senator, a lot of Democrats, your former party, are working overtime to keep no labels out of this race. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you who they are. With that said, you're clearly not prepared to roll out candidates for us today. You say you're about 2-3 weeks off. You don't want Donald Trump to be the president again. What about your old friend, Joe Biden? You guys worked together on the same side of the aisle in the upper chamber for years. Are you not turning your back on him?
No, I mean, I have a lot of admiration and certainly affection for Joe Biden, but I think, unfortunately, he's been dragged to the left along with the Democratic Party, which is now disproportionately influenced by the left wing of the party, as the Republicans are dominated by the right wing of their party. And that leaves everybody in the middle out. And we want to speak for the middle, the people who just want their political leaders to put the country over party, work together to fix problems instead of fighting each other. And, you know, that's the choice that we hope we can give them in the next couple of weeks. And it's up to them whether they want to take it. But honestly, Thomas Jefferson once said that America would need a little political rebellion every now and then, which will be as important in politics as storms are in the natural world. And I think he meant to clear away the dead wood. And boy, does our system, our political system, need a good storm and a political rebellion right now. And hopefully we can give our voters that choice this fall.
And sir, finally, and thank you for being so generous with your time this evening, as you talk about wanting to get voters that choice. If you are still struggling to come up with a ticket 2 to 3 weeks from now, would you rule out being on that unity ticket yourself?
It's very nice of you to say that or ask. Oh, yeah, for sure. My running days are over. I was lucky. I was in office 40 years, 24 in the U.S. Senate, 16 in Connecticut. It's time for another generation. And I'm just happy to have the opportunity to be a kind of senior member of the leadership of No Labels, which is trying to bring the country back together and solve our problems again together.